Nicholas, what do you make of SAB's results?
Well, it's the
good news all round.
Yeah, good news all round. Second best performer on the top 40 today. Naspers just quickly squeezed it out there. But having a look at South African breweries and those results, actually, wouldn't call them surprising. They were in line with most market expectations. But good results. I mean, doing very well now in South America.
It's an emerging market story.
It
is.
is.
Developed world is in trouble.
I think, yeah.
This is the trend of the future.
Definitely. SAB has certainly exposed themselves to emerging markets over the last 7 years, and they're reaping the rewards of that, specifically from Asia, doing well with their brand Snow there, as well as in South America and Colombia. Things certainly picked up there. They're still lagging a little bit in Europe, and I think that's very important, is that SAB is a story of two worlds. You've got the developed markets, which are still struggling a little bit, and we can see that with the economies there. Because don't forget, SAB is all about premium brands, all right? So people tend to buy down when things don't go so well. We've seen that in Europe, where we have volumes down and earnings down in the Europe area. We're doing okay in America. I mean, American results were looking very, very good, but that is also a story of two worlds. We need to understand that the cost savings that they have with Miller's Coors now, when they join together, are really starting to come through. And that was very nice to see, actually. I think earnings there up about 21% just from that area. South America coming through, Africa coming through, Zimbabwe doing very well for them now. Seeing a turnaround in that economy. South Africa as well, looking very good.
South Africa makes about
so
20%
actually, it was a good story, except for Europe. And you know, the price-wise, I think that's what everybody is going to ask.
$239.75.
You know, I would say, from an analyst's point of view, these are the you know, the analysts' reports that I've read. It looks like it's fairly valued. It's neutral. That is the general recommendation. However, analysts sometimes do get it wrong, and when you've got this kind of a story and these kind of results and earnings still looking good, I would think that the stock could still actually run. It's starting to look like a little bit of a momentum play at the moment. So yeah, I was actually quite happy with those results. Very, very nice.
Talking about emerging market stories, Naspers. Perfectly positioned in this.
That's the perfect play from a South African investor point of view.
25 to 35% higher they're expecting the results to be, and we're up almost 6% on Naspers.
Look,
so 370 rand.
Yeah, 370 again.
Can you believe it?
It's there again.
It's there in black and white.
The last time you and I spoke about Naspers was in August, and it was 250 rand. So it's just amazing that we're up over 120 rand since then. And what actually happened? Why the difference? I think investors just realize that Naspers is one of the quintessential South African players for emerging markets. I mean, you've got huge exposure in China with Tencent, and now the biggest story is obviously Digital Sky Technologies, which listed on the Russian stock exchange fairly recently. Now, Naspers owned a portion of a Russian company called Mail.ru. They indirectly sold that to Digital Sky Technologies, paid about another $300 million, and got a decent chunk of that business. That listed, and that's certainly going to bring a lot of earnings for Naspers going forward. So. Perfect play if you want to get exposure to emerging markets.
But you can't get in at these levels, surely.
Can you not? I mean, I thought at 320 it was really looking stretched. At 370, is it still looking stretched? I think the point that we need to get to here is that the markets are a little bit out of kilter with the reality of what's going on at the moment. It's very difficult to value businesses currently, and the point being is that there's so much liquidity, and I've been harping on this over and over again. There's a lot of, there's a glut. Glut is a good word. There's a glut of liquidity in the market. Money
looking for a home.
Money looking for a home. You've got emerging market players that are on everybody's fingertips at the moment. SAB, Naspers, two awesome options to go for emerging markets. That's where the growth is. That's where everyone's fixation is at the moment, and that can push up a share price higher than where it in reality should be. The question to ask yourselves is, do we still go for that? Sometimes you have to join the crowd. You can't just sit in cash. I mean, interest rates down another 0.5%.
Dangerous to join the momentum at these levels, surely, when you've got the JSE All-Share trading very close to all-time highs.
JSE All-Share 31,500. We saw a couple of days of sideways movement decline. Today we saw another push. I think these markets want to continue going up, Bronwyn. I really do. And you just see any kind of news, be it negative, it just gets shrugged off. Markets want to continue going upwards, and I would still sit in these guys at the moment. I'll nibble, absolutely. You know, maybe Naspers at 370 and SAB too high. I still think there's value in those resources at the moment.
I know you're not big into the banks, but you have to give me a comment on Investec's result. Headline earning per share down 3%.
Yeah, look, Investec's done a lot. I mean, they've wanted to move their focus onto asset management and wealth management and so on, and that's starting to have an effect on their results. Not too bad, but bad debt's still a bit of a problem. You know, having a look at sitting on a large amount of cash because they are worried about the future. So earnings enhancement not really coming through. year, and I think it's a story for all major banks in South Africa. It's just a very, very difficult environment at the moment. And it's another thing I've been harping on. I just think that you could do so much better in companies that benefit from emerging markets like your resource businesses and SAB, Naspers, and even Richemont than just sitting in banks. So results were okay, but I'm still not going to put my money in that area at the moment.
And then just very quickly, Ilovo's first half earnings dropped by a third. That's a headline earnings.
Yeah, Tongaat also released a little while ago. It's the general idea of the drought. I mean, you need to understand that is a risk when you are dealing in these companies that are not necessarily agricultural based, but they certainly do have to plant sugarcane, as well as the dollar being fairly weak
the
against
rand
the rand.
being
I mean, the
very
rand
strong
being very strong. Sugar is sold in dollars, so also hurting them a hell of a lot at the moment.